Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to Facts and Two Cents. This is Petal. It's been a very long time since we last chatted. I mean, a whole 2 hours went by, you know. Obviously, I'm just joking. We were on, I was on the chat a couple hours ago with a video about our faves helping a scholarship in Nigeria. And of course, all of this stuff with Dan Wootton broke. And then, I mean, it started happening way from last night, and then stuff happened this morning. And then while we were in the chat, more stuff happened. And we're like, let's go ahead and do a live about all that mess that's going on with Dan Wootton in the UK, which it should not have taken this mess that happened with him and Lawrence Fox last night for GB News to finally, suspend Dan Wootton. I mean, Dan Wootton shouldn't be suspended. He should have been fired a long time ago. This man should have been fired since he was at the Sun, and banned from any kind of media, anything. I mean, so this whole thing today is kind of like, I guess, you could call it, say, the straw that breaks the camel back. I mean, that's the only way I can describe it. I mean, we've spent the entire summer talking about the mess of Dan Wootton, from Martin Branning and all of the just the grossness that Dan Wootton has been involved in. And not only that, the horror that he has put on even his co-workers. And for all of those things, he's not been suspended. We get the mild from the Sun, oh, we're looking into it. Yes, the Daily Mail, they suspended his column, but apparently he was still getting paid. And who knows, because they do these ghost writer things, if he is still contributing but just his name is not on it, who knows with the Daily Mail. I'm just finding out today that one of their, it's so weird, from, I think it was Daily Beast writing an article about one of their supposed reporters who reports on the royal family, Ephraim Hardcastle. Turns out that there's nobody named Ephraim Hardcastle. It's just a name that they use. And any one of them, any editor or whatever could use that name to write an article. There is no person by that name. Which brings me back to when we were doing all of that reporting about, oh goodness. Well, let me come back to Ephraim Hardcastle. We'll come back to him later. But, I don't want to get down into a hole with the Daily Mail and their mess. But it's just, even 3 episodes or 4 episodes ago, we were talking about the MP that demanded of GB News, what, are they doing an investigation into Dan Wootton after all the, the allegations from Byline Times? And their thing is basically, no, we're not doing anything. We're not reporting. We're not going to fire him. We're not reporting on it unless he does something here. We're not doing anything. And so that was their arrogant response. I mean, we covered it here, that they were not going to do anything. I mean, again, we remember all of those breaking news articles from the Byline Times, all of those things. Dan Wootton, they were protecting him. They then decided to go after Russell Brand, and all of the press were on Russell Brand. And they're all covering for Dan Wootton for whatever reason they're doing it. They pressed mute on him and decided to let's serve up Russell Brand. And then Dan Wootton, in spite of all the despicable stuff that has come out of it about him, has continued as if nothing has happened. I mean, look at all the despicable things that this man has said. Even, even if you're just looking from when all the articles from Byline Times started coming out about him, all the horrible things that he has said about the Meghan and Harry. I mean, just about every night, with his posse of despicables like the Angela Levins of the world and Lady C and Tom Bowers and all the other despicable ones that join him on his, I guess he does a show from 9 to 12 or 9 to 11, whatever it is. And all of them, look at all the disgusting, despicable, racist, misogynistic, I mean, xenophobic, I mean, pick one or pick all of them that this man has allowed on his show. and nobody has said a word. There is no, hubbub about it. Nobody is screaming, fire him. Nobody has said a word about what this man has done. And then you got today. And what's the difference between, between all the things? I mean, again, even thinking back to how many years now Dan Wootton has been just about every day, whether it's in the Daily Mail, the Sun, GB News, his old radio show, whatever. Attack after attack and abuse after abuse after abuse on Meghan especially. And nobody in the UK has done anything. They have not said anything in her defense. They would only be like, oh, Dan, you're just so obsessed with her. That's about as strong as it will get for the majority of people. And what's the difference between today and, Meghan and this girl? This girl is like, she seemed like a white girl with blonde hair. She doesn't have black blood. And everybody all of a sudden is like, oh my gosh, he's got to be fired. It's like, well, and the funny thing is, he's in his stuff with Laura, and this is Lawrence Fox, who he was having the discussion with, who was on his show, and they were, having this discussion. And I don't know if you guys seen the video of him and Lawrence Fox, and this is him in the bottom there, and what were they talking about all the people that would never basically have sexual relationship with this reporter. And it was obviously despicable. It was obviously disgusting, and obviously should never be on television. I mean, you shouldn't be doing that in the first place. Not fall as it being on television. But this is how brazen they are. I mean, they have gotten away with everything else under the guise of free speech. This is what GB News has been doing the whole time. So of course they assume that they can just go ahead and do it. Why wouldn't they? They have gotten away with everything else. And GB News and others others in the British press have covered for them. Oh, they're so edgy. They're so, they're about free speech and whatever. So then why the hubbub today? And it just like, I am like, it's so funny with this guy, Lawrence Fox. And I don't know, if you're not on Twitter, you probably don't even know who he is. Is this former actor who is one of the most racist people around. And it's so wild because he's always getting into some racist stuff because he just doesn't care and he just is racist. And they reward him for it because why? He's a white male, which is what you see happening especially the UK a lot. You're white male, you just fail up. You look at Dan Wootton, the Piers Morgans of the world. This is exactly what that is, And so he, once again, I mean, this is a guy who, he even posted on his Twitter feed, has him dressed up as a black man in blackface and a wig and the whole bit. He just puts it out there and he doesn't care because for his people, he's like, oh, he's just edgy, And so yesterday, he was on Twitter and, I think one of these footballers that I never get his name, black footballer who does, who did the whole feeding when he, fed so many poor kids during the, I think it was during the pandemic. And then he really went after the MPs and stuff and challenging them to change a law where they feed kids during the pandemic, where they can have food and where places are open where they can have food because of the cost of living crisis. And Marcus, I think his name is Marcus something, the footballer guy. Anyways, so he was on his way to practice in I guess like a Rolls Royce or one of those really expensive cars. And of course, him and other white male in the British press have an issue because there's this black man having this fancy car. And apparently he has this, a regular one of these, and then he has a backup one just in case the regular one, is broken. Now, this guy is a very wealthy guy. He's a very, the footballer, very wealthy. And you guys could, UK squaddies, Marcus, there you go, Marcus Rashford, thank you. I never remember his name. I don't know, it's not the first time that for some reason, the name and the face doesn't match up for me, so I never remember his name. And so, Yeah. So he was on his way to practice. And so he was in his backup. I guess it's like a Rolls Royce. I don't speak cars, so I don't remember the brand of the car, but I think it's like a Rolls Royce or something. And so him and others in the British press, white male, have had issues with him having regular one, and then he has a backup one just in case the regular one goes down. And so they're all, basically, when they see black men and women have money, they all up in the man's pockets. Basically, this narrative of, they don't basically deserve to have this amount of cars. And if you have this amount of money to have like 2 Rolls Royce or whatever the model car is, then you're basically a hypocrite, because you're not, how could you be helping the poor when you have all of these riches? So it's either you are rich and don't care about the poor, or you're just poor, and then it's okay for you to care about the poor. So this black man, I don't know if he's like a writer or something, responded to him, say, basically tell, his thing is like, you want to know how you want to see racism, just, put, for example, look at their response when they see a black man with money. And so he responded to him, and he didn't and basically he called him out as racist. And so Lawrence Fox went all up in his feelings that the man need to apologize right away, and look in your DM, apologize right away, basically trying to claim that he's going to stick his lawyers on him if the man does not apologize for this to this racist fool, that he's actually racist. So if you looked at his feed, tons of people started responding like, yeah, you are racist. He has nothing to apologize for. You are racist. So at this point, I guess he's going to be, sticking his lawyers on every person in the internet because he is racist. So it's so funny. Yesterday, I literally almost joined the queue and they're like, yeah, you are racist, and I was just like, you know what, let's just leave these people alone. So it was in a way, it was just very funny that this is all happening with him. Just leave. I was just like, I'm not even bothering with this. But it's just really wild that this whole thing happened yesterday, and I saw this whole thing going down yesterday with him basically trying to claim that he's not racist, and everyone responding like, yeah, you are racist. And so again, if you don't know the whole thing with him, again, last night on Dan Wootton's show, as is normal with Dan Wootton, is having these people on the show say the most violent, disgusting things. And in the middle of the violent, disgusting thing, this picture in the bottom is literally him laughing and smirking while Lawrence Fox is saying all these disgusting things about the woman, about who, wouldn't want to basically, as the UK calls, shag her. And so it was just like, it was vile, it was despicable. And then again, this was also a fellow reporter. And it's not like if Lawrence Fox is just a guest coming on to GB News. Lawrence Fox actually has a show on GB News. So they all know what Lawrence Fox is. They know what he is. So anything he says shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. It's not a surprise to anyone else who know about him. So none of the things he says should be a surprise. But apparently, after thank you so much, V, for helping me out there with Marcus's name. I'm just gonna get this off of there. Thank you, and all of the others who shared about it. But this is Ava Santini, was the reporter. She's a political reporter, and so she was the person that they were talking about. And I'm so sorry. I thought this was going to be bigger when I pulled it in. So I'm not even sure if you can read it. It looks so small now. When I was doing it, it looks large, but now it looks really small. So she is the reporter that they were there talking about. And while, again, Dan Wootton was all laughing and smiling about all of this stuff, and, that Lawrence Fox was saying. And so she basically she tweeted this over the picture. She says, Lawrence Fox did this whole speech on GB News on why men apparently won't shag me. And she did this, and then she tweeted later in the day. She says, really grateful to every person who reached out to me, from MPs to journalists to friends and people on here. I'm overwhelmed by how kind people have been. I am immensely grateful to the incredibly courageous people who spoke out despite working on the station. And uh, you know, she also said later on that, later on today, this morning, she said, I haven't had an apology yet, if anyone is wondering. So they have not reached out to her, even though they said they would. They have not reached out to her, and they have not apologized to her for what they've said. And again, this should never happen. This should never ever be, a situation, especially a situation in the UK where, and anywhere really, where the press abuse, and we did an article here before about press abuse against women, and how this is so prevalent in the UK. And a lot of times they also, not only the men, but they also use other women to be attacking women on their shows. So that, again, it's just like the black facing, so that the male reporters could have their hands clean. They do that as well. And so they have not apologized to her, and it's good that she said people are reaching out to her and also, sympathizing with her and speaking out against what was done. This should never done. But again, they have accepted an Ofcom, who is supposed to be the body that is really over these and to find these people. I don't know if they have the power to suspend them, whatever they need to do. They have not been doing any of this. They would say, yes, they violated something, but they have not done anything in terms of finding them or anything like that. And not only that, a few episodes back, I mean, I think probably I think it was in July, when the whole thing was coming out about Dan Wootton. One of the things that was also we talked about on here is the fact that MPs in the British government held a party for the staff at GB News, including Dan Wootton, because why? They've been promoting the Tories' agenda. And so when you see stuff like this, it's like, no wonder these men are doing this stuff. Why? Because it's been okay, because they've been doing this from day one. And if MPs in the British government are okay and Ofcom isn't doing anything, well, hello. So of course they're going to continue doing their stuff. Of course they're going to continue doing it. So anyway, so Ava tweeted all that stuff. And then last night, Dan Wootton tweeted this. Dear Ava Santini, because when that happened, it started blowing up and everybody started condemning what happened and what Dan Wootton and Lawrence Fox did. So Dan Wootton then decides to tweet it out. Dear Ava Santini, I think you're brilliant. Earlier tonight, I was attempting to find your tweet to read back from my iPad and couldn't locate them. I apologize for what was said during the course of my show and should have done this immediately on air. This is not what our channel is about. Excuse me? This is not what your channel is about, when every single time, especially again against Meghan, just about every single time, this is what you do. So then GB News chimed in at the bottom. GB News has formally suspended Lawrence Fox for we continue our investigation into comments he made on the channel last night. Mr. Fox's suspension is effective immediately and he has been taken off the air. We will be apologizing formally to Miss Evans today. Well, as this morning, she said nobody has contacted her. Nobody has apologized, even though Dan put it out on social media. Nobody has contacted her to apologize. And the idea that Dan is like, this is not what your channel is about. Like, hello. And all of this is because everyone started going after them, and then when they suspended Lawrence Fox, then everyone started to be like, okay, wait a minute. This is Dan Wootton's show. Why aren't you suspending Dan Wootton? Because Dan Wootton was, even the little clip that was online that's been going around, he is laughing and smirking and all the things that Lawrence Fox is saying. So if you're going to be suspending Lawrence Fox as a guest on the show, yes, and also from his show on your channel, then why aren't you suspending Dan Wootton? And so that became the big pressure on GB News, because they said nothing about Dan Wootton. And so Scobie joined in, Sky News and the other news reporters calling, they started reporting about the fact that Lawrence Fox got suspended. And so Scobie was like, well, now get rid of the depraved sex pest. And if you know, Omid Scobie's, Dan Wootton has been one of the people, him and this other one, Richard Eden from the Daily News, have been ones that has been basically trying to torment Omid Scobie. They have been attacked. This man has been attacked so many times by those two. And so Scobie really started speaking out about it during the time that Byline Times have been putting out their articles about Dan Wootton. And so that's why he said, now get rid of the depraved sex pest, i.e. Dan Wootton. And all of this was before, we heard. And then Cameron Walker, who is the royal reporter on the show. After GB News put out their thing that that they're suspending, Cameron Walker wrote, what was said last night clearly crossed the line, and I'm glad GB News is taking it seriously. A vast majority of my colleagues, many in their first media jobs, work hard to deliver content, giving voice to communities across the UK. Please don't chastise them for others' action. And I'm like, dude, all of you are to blame. I don't care if this is your first job or not. Every single one of you have been a party to what Dan Wootton has been doing. And all your other, and again, as a royal reporter, all of them has been a part of the abuse of Meghan. So the idea of, don't blame other people because of this gas or because of the other's action. Also, Lawrence Fox is also your colleague. He is on your channel. You're all working for the same. You can't tell me that you don't know what's been going on. You work for them, And so Scobie chimed in. While I appreciate you are at a somewhat siloed role there, this is not the network's first time at the Bile Rodeo. Editorial staff, regardless of position, who turn a blind eye to the stream of hateful and dangerous comments aired on GB News do carry some responsibility. Yeah, you're all doing it. You're all in the same despicable cesspool. You know what's been going on, and none of you have stood up and spoken out and walked out. Yes, there are a few of them that has walked out, and some of them has spoken to Byline Times and exposed some of the behavior and the culture of GB News. But these people are all still there. These Cameron and all the others are still there, including Nana, all still there. And they all bear the responsibility for what this station is and what they've been doing in the name of free speech. And so I'm glad, to see like Scobie and others are chiming in about the despicableness of it. Nubian Queen, thank you so much. She says, thank you all for your continued support of our favorites, the Sussexes. Thank you. Of course, always we'll support our faves. So thank you so much for your support. I appreciate you being here and supporting as well. Thank you. I hope I didn't miss any others because I've been reading this stuff. And so going back to it again, thank you, Nubian Queen. Going back to this, but yeah, they all bear the responsibility of what GB News. Nobody who works at GB News gets a pass. Not one of them get a pass for what this is, including Ofcom and including, say, BBC, who would hire people like Nana to come on their show. They're all in the same despicable boat together. None of them get a pass. And then Dan Wootton decides, let me go further, and I'm going to make a formal apology. And if you go to his page, You'll see this there, his formal apology. I want to reiterate, I want to reiterate my regret over last night's exchange with Lawrence on GB News. Having looked at the footage, I can see how inappropriate my actions to his totally unacceptable remarks appear to be, and when to be clear that I was in no way amused by his comments. I reacted as I did out of shock and surprise in an off-guard a moment while working out how to respond as he continued to speak by searching for tweets or Ava Santini's tweets. Searching for tweets Ava Santini had sent earlier in the day while having them read out in my ear at the same time. However, I should have intervened immediately to challenge offensive and misogynistic remarks. I apologize unreservedly for what was an unfortunate lapse in judgment on my part under the intense pressure of a bizarre exchange. I know I should have done better. I am devastated that I let down the team and our supportive GBN family. We seek to tackle issues and not the person, which I intend to stress on air, which I intend to stress again on air tonight. So he was planning to go back on the air and talk about it again, get more people to come and watch him again, And this idea, like, oh, he was in shock, how he reacted. Again, we just looked at that smile was one of the smiles that he was doing while Lawrence Fox was, him and Lawrence Fox were having this conversation, smiling and smirking and all of those things that he was doing during his conversation with Lawrence Fox. And so he puts this out, oh, he's sorry, he let down the team. Oh my goodness, how can I do this? I'm really, surprised at my behavior, and the idea that he's talking about that they tackle issues, not person. Again, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, those are not issues that they tackle. Those are people that they have been abusing night after night after night, again, that GB News has done nothing about. And the majority of the British people have done nothing about, because they still keep tuning in to Dan Wootton and his racist, abusive mess. And so the idea that they don't tackle people is ridiculous and a blatant lie. So he puts this out, and what does Lawrence Fox do? On your right, Lawrence Fox puts out a conversation he has with Dan Wootton, whether this was, may have been, DM in, Twitter DM or whatever, WhatsApp or whatever he was using. But this is apparently a conversation with him and Dan Wootton. And he tags the apology that I just read. He tags that on the bottom. And this is what he wrote. Honesty is the best policy. And here's the conversation. Making you giggle is my weekly joy. And to which apparently Dan Wootton responds, you can imagine them freaking out in the gallery. And Lawrence Fox responds to that is, so much fun. So they are sitting there, and apparently this is a conversation they were having about how people would respond to their interview. So this thing about Dan Wootton claiming that he's so sorry, he didn't know it was going to happen, it was inappropriate. Oh my gosh, what could I do? I didn't know what to do because I didn't know he was going to say all those things. Blatant lies, because here they are making a joke about the interview that happened. This is his response to Dan Wootton, his correspondence with Dan Wootton about the vile things they were saying about Ava Santini. And then not only that, Lawrence Fox also puts out, he says, a phone call might have been polite, but matters of interest for the audience, contributors do a pre-interview before going on, so they know exactly what I intended to say. I fully defend the home of free speech's right to capitulate to the mob. So he is basically outed GB News, that they knew exactly what he was going to say. They do a pre-interview, so they knew, they walk through, they basically rehearse what he's going to say. And so GB News knew Dan Wootton knew. So the idea of suspending him and like, oh my gosh, how could he have done this sort of thing? It's not what we're about. And Dan Wootton's fake apology, as we can see, he was laughing about it after with Lawrence Fox. All of this is a lie. All of this was basically a lie. They knew exactly what he was going to say before he went out there and said it. And not only that, we'll be talking about Ava. One of the things Lawrence Fox did is so funny. I love how they're outing each other. For me, this is just snakes out eating snakes here. I have no I have no thing in this game. This is just like snakes eating snakes here. Lawrence Fox just went on to talk, respond to Ava when she tweeted about him, talking his conversation with Dan Wootton about her. Lawrence Fox then tweeted about her. He says, you seem to talk about shagging a lot. And then he posted a whole bunch of her tweets at the bottom here, which she is talking about exactly pretty much the same thing. She is tweeting about people shagging her. And so it's kind of like, if you could read, it's like, I don't want to go reading through all this stuff, but all of these tweets that he has posted there is her talking about who she wouldn't and who would do, and it's just like, and who she wouldn't shag. And so he is basically calling out her hypocrisy. And when I say, with anything in the British press, it doesn't matter whether it's this situation or whatever it is, we were talking about the people's backgrounds, of the reporters' backgrounds, especially we were talking about, like say the owner of Byland Investigates and all of that stuff. All of these people have despicable backgrounds. And so a lot of times you see them jump on a high horse about something. All you got to do is backtrack, because chances are they've been involved in the same thing that they are calling out and being on a holy high horse about. Now, I am not saying that what Lawrence Fox and Dan Wootton did was right. It wasn't. It was disgusting and despicable, and they both need to be fired. But it's very interesting that she before that was also tweeting about who she would and wouldn't shag, and so it was very interesting that my screen, there we go, it's very interesting that that he just basically called her out for her own hypocrisy. And again, it's just and one of the reasons that obviously this is the GB News, thing, after that, all of that happened with, people started going after them. And when Lawrence Fox put that stuff out, especially with Dan Wootton laughing and all of that stuff, and then he started putting out that they did a pre-interview, then the people were really going after GB News. Like, excuse me, that apology is fake. You knew what he was going to be doing. You know what he was going to say. It is totally fake. And even Twitter, at the bottom of Twitter, even had to put that little notice that under Dan Wootton's apology, that Lawrence Fox tweeted out that actually Dan Wootton was laughing about this. This is fake, basically. And so then GB News put out that, GB News has suspended Dan Wootton following comments made on his program by Lawrence Fox last night. This follows our decision earlier today to formally suspend Mr. Fox. We are conducting a full investigation. Right, sure. These are the same people that after all the stuff that was with evidence, emails, all of that stuff that was put out about Dan Wootton, absolutely refused and were very arrogant about it a week ago when an MP demanded to know if they're doing an investigation. And they're like, no, very arrogant about it. And now they're like, oh yeah, we're conducting an investigation. Right, sure. So it's really, really despicable. And it's funny because, one of the first people I saw tweeting about the whole with him being fired was Misan. It's good. There was like a ton of people obviously responding to this, and people are basically celebrating, I mean, again, he's suspended, he's not fired. So, are they going to go ahead and fire both of them? We will see. Give it a couple of weeks and they're probably going to come back. It's don't be surprised, in other words. But Tom Latcham, he is one of the people at Byline Times who, him and two other reporters there, are the ones that for 3 years investigated Dan Wootton and had put out all of those articles and Byline Times about Dan Wootton. He said, Dan Wootton suspended by GB News, who would not suspend him for serious sexual allegations, but felt laughing along with Loza Fox was just too much. All very odd. Yeah, very odd. Laughing along is what got him suspended again. Maybe they're thinking that's the straw that broke the camel back. I know that one of their recent ads that they're doing, those photos that they put out, their billboard things, they did not include Dan Wootton in it. Who knows? They didn't include other people as well. So who knows? Maybe they were just like, you do one more thing and you're out, whatever. I don't know. But it's very weird. After all of those stuff, they, again, last week, they refused. They will very arrogantly refuse to investigate them. And so, Lucy Han, thank you so much. She says, OMG, is it possible that the reckoning days have begun? I can only hope, Lucy. I can only hope. And thank you so much for your donation. I really appreciate it. We all can only hope. This is the beginning. As I said a few episodes back, one of the guys who accused Dan Wootton of sexually assaulting him was really so depressed that with all the stuff that he has spoken, I mean, he's spoken out about it. He's spoken to the police about it. He just really put it out there. And all he had gotten was abuse. It got to the point where he was so depressed that he was literally posting on Twitter, like, if you've gone through what I've gone through, don't say a word, because all that's going to happen is they're going to ruin your life. And the people who committed the acts, like Dan Wootton, that he alleged to have committed the acts, are going to go free, and there's going to be no punishment. There's going to be no accountability for it. I mean, he was so sad. And so we were like trying to encourage him, like saying, no, it's a good thing that you did. So hopefully, I mean, even though he's suspended, not because of what, was alleged that he have done, by this guy and others, that maybe this is the beginning of the fall, and that they can have some kind of justice and feel like, okay, we're going to have some kind of justice for what happened, what he did to us. So we can all hope. We can all hope, because it's so horrendous, because obviously Dan Wootton's fan have been abusing these people online. And he is just like, I've been through all this stuff. I've spoken the truth. I've spoken up, and all I get is abuse, and they suffer no consequences. I could totally understand. I'm like, that's why most people don't want to come forward. Most people don't want to come forward, and especially when the police have a 30-something page dossier and have done nothing about it. And Ofcom, who is the body that's supposed to be governing this kind of behavior and watch TV, they're just like the IPSO. They are useless. And Scobie, it's so funny. I got this from Scobie, was responding to them like, as usual with Ofcom, they are going to do nothing. They give them a couple of weeks of twiddling their thumbs. They will do nothing. There will be no consequences. But they tweeted out today, at least when Lawrence Fox was suspended, it says, we can confirm we received a number of complaints about comments made by Lawrence Fox on GB News last night. We are assessing these complaints against our broadcast rules and will publish the outcome as quickly as possible. Right. That's pretty much all they're going to do. There's going to be, it's just, anyways, I'm going to jump in the chat and just see. I know you guys have a lot of thoughts about this. I'm going to put the link in the chat if you like to call in and share with us what your thoughts are. Okay, so the link is in the chat if you'd like to call in and talk about. We're just going to focus on Dan Wootton and the developments today, and or what he's done to Meghan. Just I want to say, please keep it clean. no cuss words. I know it's very infuriating, and we're all passionate about it. I know I am, as you can tell, I'm very passionate about this too. But just please keep it clean. And also too, I don't want to get a strike from YouTube. So yeah. Anyways, so definitely, so I'm gonna be in the chat, and if you'd like to call in, the link is in the chat. So please do so. Love to hear from you. Anne Lewis says Dan Woo Woo has too much information on many who must be sitting on hot coal with fear that Dan Woo Woo might release. Yep. Wait and observe soon. The sky will be red on what's to come. I totally agree. I totally agree. That's why they have been mute on Dan Wootton, the majority of the press. Lorna says, I wonder if she can sue. I don't know. I honestly don't know. And especially, it's also complicated in the fact that she had been talking about stuff like that on Twitter before. So it's like, I don't know. And that says Dan Wootton is a nasty piece of work. Yes, he is. Absolutely is. Oh, Ed, I see you. Do you want to be on camera or do you want to be off camera? If you want, just turn your camera off. It's up to you. Okay, there we go. Hello, Ed. You can turn your mute right now. So if you want to turn your mic on so we can hear you.
Okay. All right. Hi. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, I can hear you. Hello.
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. So I was on Twitter this morning. I was scrolling. Then I just saw BBC, Dan Wootton and Fox Lawrence suspended. I was like, what? So I rubbed my eyes. I said, no, this can't be true. So I click on the link. I wanted to go to BBC News to see what it was. And I look. I said, this cannot be true. I click again to make sure. I said, this cannot be true. I look. I said, no, this can't be. Let me go to YouTube and see. I don't see anything. I go back. I said, wow, it's finally happened. No, they come as a lead come for Wootton. He deserves it. I'm so happy. I cannot even tell you how happy I am today that he's finally got his karma today.
Yeah.
That's what I have to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, he's definitely, on the way. And again, he's suspended. He's not fired. So hopefully that, GB News will go all the way. But knowing the standard of that, don't be surprised.
No, he's coming back next week. They're just putting blinders on our eyes. Next week we'll be back on TV again.
Oh, so let's hope for the better.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Okay, bye. I'll be in the chat. Bye.
Okay, bye. Oh, I love to hear the voices. Match up the voice and of course I saw her face, but you didn't, so there. But yeah, the link is in the chat, so call in and let's hear your thoughts about Dan Wootton getting suspended. In the meantime, I will stay in the chat. Let's see. Paulette says, hello, everyone. Comma. I am so excited. I cannot hide. I cannot hide it. I want to lose it. God don't like ugly. Yes, Paulette. Very true. Very, very true. And I think someone on Twitter, mentioned that Tina and Michelle said if Dan Wootton gets fired, well, he's suspended now. So maybe we have to wait until they get fired. But if he gets fired, then they'll come in and do an episode. So we're all waiting. Hopefully, fingers crossed that Tina and Michelle are going to come back and do an episode of Salsa Squad podcast. So we all await. So yes. Let's see. Anne Louise says no news in Shutter Island that they have resorts in the gutter press. I'm sure the incident with the Foreign Secretary Suella Braverman comments in New York should be discussed, but we have Dan Sleaze. I know Suella. I don't know all of what was going on with Suella Braverman. I know she said some really really disgusting things about, refugees. But I haven't read the story or had a chance to listen to it, so I can't really speak. I know everyone is up in their arms about it, so in until I figure, read it so I can understand all that happened there. Yes, we can discuss Dansley's. So yeah. Let's see what else. And again, please call in. We want to hear from you. Don't be shy. We have 691 people of our closest friends here. So someone could call in. Call in. Let's hear you, or hear from you. Let's see. Andrea 8 says, this just shows that from top to bottom is rotten to the core at GB News. Hello. And we talked about Dominique Samuels the other day, who was who took money to blackface articles from the Daily Mail. Nana is also accused of the same thing. I mean, they're all from GB News, and it's just oh my gosh, it is vile. And they hide that under the guise of, oh no, it's free speech. No, it's free speech. But then, like I said, Lawrence Fox, the minute this guy referred to him as racist the other day, because it was, he's like, no, you need to apologize right now, or basically I'm sticking my lawyer on you. So it's okay. They want free speech for themselves, but the minute you throw back your freedom of speech at them, they want to be like, oh no, you have to apologize. Like, please. JB says, who is Wootton trying to fool? Only a sheep that follow him. As for that foxhole, he is the dirt at the bottom of your shoes. I can't disagree. I cannot disagree. Again, I'm putting the link in the chat, so if you like to call in, please do. Again, in the meantime, I will stay. Hello, Adrian. How are you? I'm happy you're here. So in the meantime, I will stay in the chat. Let's see. Lorna says, GB News is conducting an investigation, so they find a scapegoat that they can blame it on. Watch out, Nana. I'm telling you, these people don't play. Would I be surprised? No. And it's so funny. GB News used to have another black girl, apart from Dominique, who left, and she said that she left because she didn't want to go on Dan Wootton's show. Again, I'm still trying to figure out what that was about. She there was also this girl, Mercy Maroki, I think her name was. I have not seen or heard from her. Is she still on GB News? She's another black girl who was doing the same. It's like all the black girls there. It was all, talk about, attacking your own people, and in the name of, I need to gatekeep for white supremacy. She was just like Dominique. She was just like Nana. And obviously the GB News, their fans love them because they were attacking. It's just like, oh. But for some reason, I have not heard of Mercy Maroki in a long time. So I don't know if she is still on GB News. I have to look her up. Let's see. Joanne Baker says, GB News is such a joke with their, we are conducting a full investigation. It's a joke, and the British public is allowing this nonsense. Yeah, it's definitely allowing it. GB News should not be, they didn't even consider GB News news. It's like, it's a propaganda channel where you can basically go and be as vile and despicable as you want to be. And nobody's doing anything, as we've seen. Look at what they've done. You see vile behavior on GMB and all of these. Take that up like 20, 30, you'll get GB News. And nobody, Ofcom has done nothing. Like nothing. Look at all the abuse that all of these news outlets have done to Meghan. Nothing. Yet today, with this one thing, it's like, oh, you're not black? Okay, so we can all support you. It's just like, okay. Sherry Ware says, I am calling poop on GB News. They aren't going to conduct an investigation. Of course they're not. You know what I mean? If they fire if they fire Dan Wootton or Lawrence Fox, I swear I'm gonna be looking out for the cow jumping over the moon, because yeah, it's they're not gonna do it, So let's see. Kizadora says, she's talking to VS Speaks, royally what's done in the dark comes to light. Exactly. And I'm telling you, karma has descended on these people. Not only this is happening, but did I post it? I don't even know if I posted last night. I don't know if you guys remember Trevor Colt. He's one of those disgusting YouTubers that has written some of the most vile things about the Sussexes. He's a veteran, actually. He was a British veteran who was doing all this stuff, and he was apparently raising funds for vets in the UK. And but he's also a scam artist. He has scammed people on YouTube out of money that he said it was for somebody sick or something. And then Chris Boozy, I remember Chris Boozy, him posting photos of this guy on vacation with the very person he claims was sick or something like something like that. And then he was doing all of these sickening videos. And so Chris Boozy he was part of the report Chris Boozy put out about just this vile behavior on YouTube that they need to take down. And then YouTube decided to, after a while, they defunded his channel. And so when they did that, the Mirror, tabloid Mirror, and I think it was the Sun and the Mirror went off and did an interview with him and put this big headline about, oh, this veteran was defunded. Harry and Meghan caused this veteran to be defunded from YouTube or some stupidness like that. And it wasn't until Chris Boozy contacted both the Mirror and the Sun and sent his report to them about the vile thing this guy was doing, and not just to the Sussexes. He was talking about, attacking, the LGBT people. I mean, there was so many vile things there, and it was Chris Boozy contacted both of those tabloids, and then they took down the articles, and it was just really sickening. And so turns out, if we found out yesterday, Chris Boozy found I think it was I think he posted like a screenshot or something from the Mirror or one of them, that Trevor Colt the police is now investigating him for fraud, because I guess he when he was fundraising for veterans, he did it as part of like a charity thing, and it turns out he kept the money. And so or he may have kept part of it, whatever. And so the police is now investigating him for fraud. And so I'm telling you, karma has descended on the UK. And I'm like, all of y'all who's been going after the Sussexes, I'm telling you, you all have decided, karma, here I am, you could come look at me. Karma is like descending and is gonna take her time getting out of there. TCC Sun, hello. Turn on your hello. How are you doing? Turn on your mic. I think you're muted right now. Hello, TCC Sun. Turn on your mic so we can hear you. There you are. Okay, hi. Hi, TC Sun. Hello.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Thank you so much. I'm doing well. Hello, everyone. It is so good to see everybody in the chat.
Yes. 717 of our favorite people hanging out with us.
Just hanging out doing nothing. I'm actually working on a project, and I had you turned on, and I was like, I've got to say something about this woo-woo.
Yes. Please share.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I think it's just a ploy. I think it's a ploy because of all the investigation, the disgusting stuff that he's done, and nothing was done. No, they even came out and said, we're not going to do anything. I think when the MP said something and said, okay, what are you doing? And that, of course, is just what we were able to see. I'm thinking they might have added maybe a little bit of pressure, and now they're going to suspend him for something that is completely unrelated.
Mm-hmm.
But now they can actually say, well, this is what we did. We suspended him, you
Right.
know, because, and, and maybe I'm just being kind of mean, or I don't know. I've gotten thick skin. I don't know. But the comments that they said about that young lady compared to the comments that has been said about Megan, they don't
Mm-hmm.
even balance out. You
Yep.
know, they don't even balance. And, you said something earlier in reference to, she has made comments about shagging.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, and please nobody get offended, but she has beautiful blonde hair and blue eyes. And now, oh my goodness, you should be up in arms, but in actuality, for stuff that she's already said,
Mm-hmm.
and now everybody's going to get suspended. You see what I'm saying? And
Yep.
good on Fox. He should have never said what he said. But when he realized he was literally getting thrown under the bus, and he came back with, oh, wait a minute, hold up.
Yep.
We had pre-interviews, and Woo Woo was just giggling the whole time. They already knew what was going to be said.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he did that to make sure that he could be employable in the future.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so I just think it's really just something they throwing out there to try to cover their tracks with the MPs, and that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? He
Yep.
will be back. He's gonna come back, and he's gonna say, well, they sat me down, they did this and they did that. I mean, even to the point, as you already know, some of us squatties, we've gone after the advertisers, and they
Mm-hmm.
was pulling out. That still wasn't enough for them to do anything,
Right.
you know? So I just think it's a complete ploy. They're just trying to shut down the MPs, because I'm pretty sure the MPs, everybody washes each other's hands
Mm-hmm.
in the background.
Yeah.
I live in the United States. We know our Senate and congressmen and all that stuff. We know that everybody
Mm-hmm.
washes each other's hands. So I really do believe it's just something to shut the MPs up so they won't do any more inquiring. It's going to be okay. Give him be with this suspended for a week or two. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, nothing. I don't think they're going to fire him, because I think he has too much dirt.
Yeah, which is what I've been saying before,
Mhm.
because even the owner of GB News has his own sexual, I mean, Byline
Yes.
Times did a whole
Yeah.
article on him and the sexual assault charges that are against him. So again, he
Mhm.
doesn't have a hill to, be standing on to condemn Dan Wootton when he's the same in
Yeah.
the same boat.
See, and I think some of their behavior that may not be acceptable over here in the States is very much acceptable over in the UK, as
Yeah.
long as you don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you don't talk about it, this is kind of standard protocol. You
Yeah.
have over here, you get caught and you're married and you're having an affair. Oh, wait a minute. You getting ready to
Mm-hmm.
lose. You know what I mean? You're going
Yeah.
to lose
Yeah.
your job, or you're going to get suspended, or they're going to make a big show to let you know, oh, no, we took care of this.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas over there, they have all these different things with all these announcers or presenters. So it's just a culture that,
Right.
when you get to a certain position in this particular industry, then this is what you are allowed to do, or you've been doing it. This is the secrets that we'll hold for you. This is
Mm-hmm.
kind of like standard protocol. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, you got caught. Okay, so now we might have to show a little something.
Right.
And it's just, it's to me, it's just everybody don't get your hopes up. This would be a time I would love to be wrong. Please let me be wrong.
I think all of us would want to be wrong in this. We
You
want to
know?
think that GB News would do the right thing.
Mhm.
Although they don't have a history of doing the right thing, they always choose to do the wrong things,
Mhm.
and or the just the horrible things. And so, I mean, today another article is going to drop from Byline Times about
Mhm.
Dan Wootton. So we're all looking forward to see whatever it says. It may have dropped by now. So we're all looking forward to see what
Right?
else is on there
Well, I
that, you
can go out
know,
there and take a look
yeah.
now because I actually slept in today. I was off and I was like, I got this major project, and one project led into another project. Sometimes I just hate myself. But I when I woke up, I said, let me just check, get my cup of coffee and do a little stroll. And I was like, this is not happening. No, wait a minute. Hold on. I popped in spaces. I hear everybody. I said, wait a minute. Is this
Mhm.
really happening?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I think this is happening. And then when I found out why, I was like, nope, nope, this ain't gonna last. This is just a
Mhm.
game. They're playing the game. They're trying to get everybody all hyped up and souped up, the whole nine. And I do have another a comment I want to make in terms of black fishing that they
Mhm.
have
Black
going
facing,
on.
yeah. Mhm.
Blackface. That to me, I remember looking at the documentary with Harry and Meghan, and the gentleman who was on there, he was talking about how that industry is set up, and it's like a 0.2% of people of color that's
Mhm.
in the industry.
Yep.
And when you're sitting here, and when I remember him saying it, I don't know why, it just really stuck. Like really, really stuck in my mind. And then when we find out that they're doing all this blackface, what is blackfishing?
Black
Black
facing, yeah.
blackfacing. I'm sorry, y'all, I couldn't get it
No,
right.
there is something called black fishing. People like
But
put these faces
yeah,
onto it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, now don't get mad, guys, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I could see that happening
Mhm.
because there's so little of people of color in that industry that when they do, they've taken this course and they're doing, they're out here, putting in their work, trying to, you know, become a true journalist, and they got this wall that's up against them, and now all of a sudden here's a check that's going to pay your rent or car payment or just pay bills in general. I can see why they took the check. Now, I know it's a terrible thing to say, but sometimes,
Mhm.
you got to be realistic. I understand everybody got their morals.
Mhm.
This is true. And there are a lot of people out here who will not sell their soul for
Right.
a check. They will not do it. But when everyone knows that the UK is really having a hard time, the people there are, they're really struggling. So if you have one check that's going to keep you from getting evicted, I can see them taking that check. I can see them getting tired. They got this degree. They're trying to get in journalism. They have no food. They're standing in line for a food bank. And now here comes this check. You know, I can see them taking that check. It's bad, but I can see that
No,
happening.
I mean, look, I mean, I know where you're coming from. I know,
Mhm,
I understand the angle that you're coming from totally. But I think one of the things that I saw when I remember Tina and I back in, a few years ago when we were begging royal reporters to stand up for Meghan, one of the
mhm,
things that I encountered, especially with a reporter from the BBC, I think she's still there now,
mhm.
was asking them, look, I mean, and I'm so mad that I got rid of my personal Twitter account, because when I got rid of it, then I realized I had all of these threads on there
Oh,
that
okay.
and it didn't dawn on me until after, they give you 30 days, and then you can't access it anymore. And
Mm,
I've realized I lost so many threads that I had on that thing. I was devastated when I realized what I had done. But one of the things on there, I mean, emails after, I'm sorry, uh tweets after tweets after tweets going back and forth with her. And also there's this organization for like black reporters, and I can't even remember the name of the actual name of the black reporters, We were going back and forth with them. One of the things I was saying, can you all come together and work
Mm.
together? And I was saying, even to the one at BBC, I'm like, look, I know it's hard to stand up by yourself, especially when you're the
Mhm.
only one. But if all of you come together and speak together as one, then nobody has to bear the burden of it. They
Mhm.
refused,
Yeah, I could
completely
see
refused.
them. I could see them doing it because
Completely. You can
the
talk to Tina. We were like
mhm.
begging. And
Mhm.
you should have seen the thread that I had with this woman going back and forth, begging her to speak up for Meghan. And then she had the nerve when Meghan guest edited Vogue, she had the nerve to tweet about, how amazing it was that Meghan bought Vogue, and it's the first time she's actually getting Vogue, and how inspiring it was. And I'm like, aren't you the one that refused to speak up for Meghan?
No,
I went
you
after
called
her.
that out. I know you did. I could
I went
see it.
after her.
Yes.
I'm like, you refuse to speak. And then she
Oh
giving
my
me all of
God.
these excuses. I'm like, look, you were a coward. I really went after this
Mhm.
woman. And I
Mhm.
think she's still at BBC as far as the last time I checked.
I
But
wouldn't
it
be
was just like they
surprised.
refused. There was this man who wrote an article, and I want to say it's even in The Voice, and he wrote this article about why are people attacking Meghan. I asked him, begged him, I'm like, can you please join and speak up and continue speaking out? Refused. That
No,
whole
and
organization,
I
they
can see
refuse to do
why.
anything.
Yeah, I
And
can
that
see
is
why
why
they
people
would
are
shut it
alone.
down. I can see why they would shut down because even with the young lady who had brought it to everybody's attention of how she was treated at the castle for that charity event, you see what happened. She had to end up
Exactly.
shutting down her
Yep.
whole organization.
Hmm.
So it's like, they are vicious. They are
They
very, and
really
you
are.
have absolutely no recourse. There is no recourse. You are on your own.
There
And
is a record. They can work
mhm,
together. I mean,
they
that woman
can't.
from
But I
BBC
don't think they
literally
know
told me, she
how.
literally put it in writing that they are afraid. She literally
Yeah,
put it in writing.
yeah. I can
And
see
so
that.
this is why I was suggesting, please work together. By
Mhm.
yourself, you're going to be afraid, of course. But if
Mhm.
you work together, and that is the thing that they didn't want to do. They didn't want to work together. There is a way to fix it. There is a solution. Work together.
Well, I just
And
don't
they
think
didn't want
they
to do
know
it.
how to do that. And you got to remember, we're over here in the United States and we have been fighting back as people of color for eons. So, somewhere along the line, we have learned how to develop a strategy on how to say, okay, we just got to come together, even though sometimes things got to get so crazy for all of us to say, okay, now we're all going to be in the same room.
Yeah.
I don't think they have that or have never experienced that because just for like the last 4 or 5 years that I've been following, the UK and Meghan and Harry and everything, I've noticed that, one of their cultures that is over there is not to encourage improvement in people's situations.
Right. Yeah.
So by
It's almost like you're
noticing it,
working above your station if you try to
exact,
improve. Yeah.
you got it. And as soon as you do, or as soon as you do have people over there that have said, you know what, I'm just going to take this heat and I'm going to do better than my parents, they
Mhm.
have to move.
Right.
Most of them, they leave from over there and they have to come to the United States. I mean, I knew there was a problem when 007 became a United States citizen. I said, wait a
Mm-hmm.
minute, what's going
Pierce
on?
Brosnan.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Come on, Adele don't move to California. No, I'm not going back. So it's like, okay, what is actually going on over in this country? Because when you live in your own country, it's bad to say, but you really don't kind of get caught up of involved in other people's politics.
Right.
But I think that's what I can, or my opinion of what I see is that they don't know how to pull together, or even if they sit down and figure out, okay, this is what we can do to resolve this issue, they're not prepared to take the hits that come
Right.
along with
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
Whereas we're gonna take the hits. We're like, okay, we're out here, we striking, we raising cane, we doing everything that we got to do for improvement, but we also know that we have to find a way to maintain funds coming in to keep our lights on,
Right,
and
right,
keep
yeah.
feeding our families. And I don't think they know how to do that. Not trying to, say they're not smart. I just think it's just a situation where they've been so discouraged for
Mm-hmm.
improvement that they don't know how to do it.
Right,
They
yeah.
don't have an idea. Not making no excuses. And just to let you know, Byline Times, they did drop a report and it's saying this is a network problem. Dan Wootton suspended from GB News.
Oh, so they just dropped it?
They just dropped it. Yep. Looks like
Okay.
it's been like 43 minutes ago. It looks like
Oh,
they
okay.
just dropped it. So
Wow.
I think that's kind of, and I have to say, I do, it's terrible for me to say it, but I'm going to say it. I do love that this is happening and Megan's name is not on it.
Mm-hmm.
I love this is happening and her name has nothing to do with it. You can't say
Mm-hmm.
it's because of the Sussex squad, you know.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah.
You cannot say that, you cannot say that at all. So, it's gonna karma, it can be a little dark and it can be slow, but when it happens, it comes strong. It
Mm-hmm.
comes strong. And I'm hoping Byline do not stop. And I don't know if you know this or not, but question to you. This gentleman who unfortunately was very mistreated by Dan Wooten. I've seen some of his tweets and everything. I feel so sorry for him. You
Mm-hmm.
said some comments about it. But are the laws different in terms of if he's accusing him of doing these things, he can't take him to court? I don't know
I
what the laws are though. That's why
Yeah,
I don't.
I think he spoke to the Met Police and they haven't done anything. I think that's what he's probably waiting on. He's done everything I'm assuming the thing with when, with taking it's kind of different from here because it's so
Mhm.
expensive there to take someone to court that
Mhm.
it
Okay.
literally wipe you out if you lose. And then you have to pay
Okay.
them and pay their
Oh,
court fees
yes,
and all of
that's
those
right.
things. So
Mhm.
it's a little bit different. That's why
Mhm.
people are so afraid to take that chance because, especially with Dan Wooten, and we've said before, there is something very weird about him and those judges that are always getting like he's always winning these cases and you're like, how did that
Mhm.
happen? And so it is a lot to take him on, and people just don't have the money to
Yeah.
take on these cases, and especially when the police refuse to do anything about it.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
I
so that,
definitely see
yeah,
the
it's a little
laws are
bit different in
different.
that way. Yeah.
I could see, yeah, the laws are completely different. And I forgot that that is true that you just can't sue, or you can sue, but if they offer you $1 million and you're like, no, I'm not signing that paperwork. If you lose, you got to pay them that
Yeah. And they
million
don't
dollars.
pay out
Yes.
$1 million. They pay
Yeah.
much, much less than that.
No,
So,
yeah, I
yeah.
know, but for us average Joes,
Right.
if
Yeah.
you say, we're gonna offer you 100,000, and we say no, we're not gonna take it, and then I lose, now I gotta find 100,000 to pay you.
Exactly.
I'm an average
Exactly.
Joe. So now I forgot all about that. Yeah, because I'm sitting
Yeah.
here like, if this happened, then why aren't you in court? You know
Right.
what I mean?
Exactly.
Saying, look,
Yeah.
something has to happen. So it's
Well,
sad.
TC Son, I
Thank
am
you
so
so
happy you
much.
came on. We have another caller that we want to hear. We
Sure
want to
thing.
take it from. But thank you so much for your
Appreciate
amazing
you
comments. I
guys.
appreciate you so much for coming on.
You guys shall have a wonderful, wonderful day. And thanks for allowing me to pop in, okay?
Of course. Anytime.
Bye bye.
Bye. And thank you so much, Annie. And yes, Karen, I see you there. So I'm gonna get to you in 1 second. Hang on 1 second. I want to get VS Speaks. VS Speaks. Oh, I actually just put your podcast on there. I'm so happy. Oh goodness. I would it, but let's look at your comment first. It says woot woot. Always was laughing on Fox's DM, and Fox posted the receipts when Wooty Woot tried to Wooty Woot tried with his statements of regret. LOL. Yes, exactly. he was laughing and then basically got outed. And so this is VS Speaks channel. This is your channel. And so, hey guys, jump over there. I'm going to do as well. I haven't as yet. So I will definitely come over and see what you are sharing about. I mean, I'm assuming you're going to be talking about this. Everybody will be talking about. So definitely, if you haven't checked it out, like myself, we will come over and check it out and support you. So awesome. Thank you so very much. And thank you, Church Nelly, for posting the website there. So if you want it, check out Church Nelly's post, and you can just click on to a VS Speaks channel. YouTube channel. So hang on one second, Karen. Let's just get this off. And Karen is here. Hello, Karen. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
I am doing good. What's up, my friend?
I'm good. If my voice sounds different, because I'm nursing a cold here.
That's okay. I know it usually happens sometimes when you travel, your body is a little bit run down.
Oh
So-
yeah, no, I was dealing with the hot and cold in Dubai, so I
Right,
picked up a
yeah.
cold there. Yes. Anyway, I was listening. I wasn't gonna come on with this done with nonsense, because as far as I'm concerned, um, it's been going on, and it doesn't look like they do anything about stuff like this. And as you mentioned before, and I did say it before when when the whole school field thing came out, that this behavior has been going on for a long time. It's been going on for years, for over decades. This kind of behavior has been going on.
Yeah.
And what has been happening, because when the whole thing came out with Schofield and this nonsense you keep hearing all the time, it took me back to a case they had years ago with a singer that was promoting his went on TV to promote his music and his art. And he was asked a question, and shortly after that, I mean to say, the question had nothing to do with his art or what he was promoting. But this behavior that they have is either they make you or they break you, right? And the question that was asked him, knowing what his mindset was about that question, and asking him on TV about it in terms of trying to trap him with it.
Oh wow.
Shortly after he ended up in jail. Okay. And like, this behavior has been going on for a long time, where they have been doing this. Anybody who is trying to make something of themselves or get a break, and they go, they try to get this interview out of them, or try to to get on them, and they do whatever it is to break them. This is why a lot of the artists, when they get to a point to know that, okay, they have something and they can make it, they all leave and go to the States. Because if they
very
stay there,
interesting, isn't it?
if they stay there, this is what's going to happen. This artist was from Jamaica, and he ended up in jail.
Wow.
Okay. And the question had nothing to do with his art that he was promoting. Nothing to do with it. Okay. There was no need for that question. It's just ridiculous. It's been going on for a long time. And when the stuff came up with Kofi, it came to me. So I was not even surprised when it went down to Wootton and these other ones, because it's the same pattern, the same behavior. Right. I spoke to my brother about it, and I told my brother, I said, I didn't realize that this goes. My brother said to me, he says, Karen, you didn't know that this has been happening in the UK for so long? They are known for this. He says they have been known for this for however long. This behavior, this entrapment, all this stuff. Okay. And most of them go on with this thing. Yeah. Okay. You were talking about, the MPs coming in and why don't, like you had a conversation about, these groups working together or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not going to get them, because every one of them are for themselves, and it's all about a what do you call it? I just had the term, something and conquer, divide and conquer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? That is the kind of behavior that they have, because every one of them are for themselves. It's the same thing as they were doing in the slavery time. When they pen us against each other, whether it's by alcohol or religion or whatever it is, okay, and they use us against each other.
Right.
Okay,
Very true.
It happened in apartheid, the same thing. You understand? So when each of us go in there, okay, and this is the same system that's happening. No, they're not working together, because every one of them is for themselves. One of them is going to get, manipulated in one way, or get, what is it? Some kind of deal, to spill on the other, or to even look at what this the woman with the, I can't even remember her name. The woman with the funny wig that wears.
Nana.
Okay,
Nana.
Okay, look at her behavior.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't tell me that she's not being bought. You cannot tell me.
Of course. I mean, we've been talking about Nana the last. Yep.
You can't tell me that she's not being bought to go against her own people. You can't tell me that. Okay, so that is a perfect example of divide and conquer. Okay, she would go up there and she would say anything that she has to say against anybody if they put a check in front of her. Okay, so this is why you would never get them working together, because they know how to play them against each other. They just have to show them, okay, we're going to give you this position and this extra money, so that you can have a job to keep feeding your thing if you do this, that, or whatever. Okay, and this is how they play. You never get that unification amongst them, or working together, until something happened to them. Where they need the other one. Okay, like the one that came out and said how they wanted her to put her name on something that they wrote, and she must put her name on it. I guess her light bulb just went out. Okay, her light bulb just went up. That's why she came out and talked about it. Okay, but these are the games they play, and it will keep going on and on and on, because this is the system from umpteen years ago. This is the system that they've been under, and this is exactly how they've been brainwashed over the years.
Yeah.
And it's just going to go on and on and on until they have guts enough to stand up for themselves and know that you are better than this. You're better than this.
Yeah.
So it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, Karen, thank you so much for coming on. And I mean, fantastic points.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic points. But I love, you and TCC Santa, that divide and conquer is really, they are masters of doing that. So thank you so much.
Not a problem. You take care.
All right, my love. I'm gonna check your email, please. I'm gonna send you an email later today.
Not a problem, honey. Not a problem. Okay. Love you guys. Bye.
Okay. Bye. So I just found GB News has dropped their article. So I'm just gonna read a little bit of it. It's and I'll put the link just in case you don't. I'm gonna put the link in the show notes so you can actually read it as well. It says GB News chief executive Angelos Frangopoulos wrote to his staff this afternoon announcing the suspension and promising to investigate the comments made on the air by Lawrence Fox last night. Byline Times understands that it is the threat of staff insurrection over how Wootton, the show's executive editor, handled the segment, and the apparent mocking of the production staff per Fox's tweet, which led to Wootton's suspension. One senior host told the newspaper it had been inevitable. Other GB News sources suggest Fox and Wootton will never again appear on the channel. Senior newsroom sources have said Frangopoulos ignored warnings from staff members that the continual employment of Fox and Wootton was an accident waiting to happen. Hello. One senior presenter said, "It's about time. But why only suspend Wootton? Why should they should get rid of him for good?" Employees have painted a picture of a rudderless organization that has lost hundreds of experienced journalists in the past 2 years, driven out by presenter power and a management team which refuses to listen to their warnings about the potential breaches of Ofcom rules, and which is now has a staff heavy with Unilevers and ideologues. I don't know. GB News has claimed it doesn't have a toxic workplace culture. But the latest incident, which GB News insists does not reflect their value, could lead the news channel facing yet another Ofcom investigation, adding to the 11 currently active. On top of 3 others, the regulator has previously upheld against the troubled network. The number may rise due to Wootton's speech against Byline Times after this newspaper made serious allegations about his private and personal conduct and Wootton's misogynistic exchange with Fox. It says Byline Times lodged a formal complaint through lawyers to Ofcom 2 months ago after Wootton appeared in his primetime 9 p.m. show to try to dismiss our 3-year investigation into serial allegations of catfishing to solicit sexual explicit materials as a smear campaign by dark forces, while repeatedly and wrongly characterizing this newspaper as a hard left blog and evoking the language of culture war. And so it goes on. It has a lot more stuff. So I'll put the link in the show notes so that you can read it. I'm assuming they may, because they were going to be dropping another article. I'm assuming there's going to be another one about specifically Dan Wootton, Martin Brannan kind of things. So according to them, some in the newsroom are claiming that Dan Wootton is not going to be coming. Him or Lawrence are going to be coming back. We'll see. We'll wait and see if GB News will take a stand. I mean, again, this is a despicable cesspool of a place. So Dan Wootton is just part of that cesspool. They're all like this. So we will see. We will see what will happen there. So yeah. So a few more before we end. Thank you so much, Karen, for calling in. TC Sun, thank you so much. And again, the link is in the chat if you'd like to call in and get one more person. I'm just gonna put it there again. If you come in, we can have you on as well. So let's see. Let's stay in the chat for a bit. Let's see. Madwell says there's nothing like imploding from within their own circle, and I'm here for it. Same here. Again, for me, that's like snakes eating snakes. That's what I say with that one. Let them eat each other. Let's see. And it says, Wootton, you reap what you show. Yes. I like that. Let's see. Oh, Rohini is here. Let's say hi to Rohini. Hello, Rohini. Unmute yourself. Hi.
Hello.
How are
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
This is the first time in a long time I've been able to get you because you get up too early in the morning. What? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? It's too early. Too early in the morning, or 8 o'clock and stuff. I work nights, okay? 8 o'clock I'm asleep. Listen.
Okay, gotcha.
I call BS. Okay. This is a smoke screen.
Mm-hmm.
This is their way of slowly extricating themselves from Dan Wootton.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're trying to tell me that a comment bad-mouthing the staff, because that's basically what the comment is more heinous than the fact that he is accused of being a rapist and a procurer.
Mm-hmm.
You trying to tell me that that's worse?
Right.
BS. And I've always said it. Anytime there's anybody who wanted to defend this man, you ask them one thing: what's on your tape? And I have a feeling, because if you look at Dan Wootton's rise, his rise was meteoric. He just got there. He just got there. And for him to be this big so fast, you have to ask yourself, how did he get it? But we know how he got there now. We understand now. We know what he's done. We know what he is capable of. And they're realizing just how dangerous he is. And they were looking for any opportunity to phase him out. So this Dan Wootton might have shot himself in the foot by doing this, because now all those tapes are somewhat, should I say, powerless. Because if he releases anything now, then he seems like a bitter ex-employee.
Right.
So I don't think they are so appalled by what was said and care about his staff and the toxic work environment. They dodged the bullet because they realized that they couldn't fire him, because just the whiff. Listen, Byline's first article should have been enough for suspension. Totally. Yep. It should have been enough. Not even the article, the tweet. It should have been enough for suspension. At least an investigation, right? That was enough. But they realized that he had that power over him. So they needed to find a way to turn the table. So I call BS. They don't care about their staff. They don't care about the integrity of journalism. They actually won the lottery. And now they can extricate themselves from a very dangerous man who they for a long time enabled. Right. Because let's be realistic.
Hold on one second, Rohini. Miss September, I see you there, so just hang on one second, okay? I just want you to know that I see you. Okay. Go ahead, Rohini.
Because let's be realistic, Pornhub has been around for a long time. It's been quite easy for anybody to get pornography online. So for him to be paying so much money for these images, it means he was procuring them. It means he was sent specifically to target these specific individuals. And where did he get the money to do that? Who was paying for these things? Right? So we know now that he was a person. So they encourage him. And unfortunately, now he's a liability, because now what's on your tape? He has everybody's tape, and we need a way to neutralize this threat. So they allow him, we say in Trinidad, what did they say? Fly a kite the longest rope of an end. You give them enough rope to hang themselves. So that's exactly what they did to Dan Wootton. And they're going to slowly extricate themselves from him. I believe he's going to be fired. But, he's going to find a podcast somewhere and come back with his nonsense. But the only solace is that there would be a bit of quiet in the Meghan hate for a little while. There's going to be a bit of quiet, and I'm going to enjoy it. But I call BS. They don't actually care about journalism. They don't care about the staff. Nope. This was their way of getting rid of a very, very dangerous man that they created. They created this monster, and they found a way to get rid of it. That's my thought.
Good point, Rohini. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Oh, God.
Okay, bye. Thanks, Rohini. Let's see, Miss September. Hello, Miss September.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. My real name is Beverly. I live in Maryland.
Oh, hi, Beverly.
But that was just my wedding date. So it was the day Harry was born. I didn't even realize it until.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Miss September 15. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Happy anniversary. Belated.
39 years.
Wow. That is wonderful.
Yeah. But anyway, it's just a quick in and out. The lady who Dan Wootton and that Fox guy was talking about, she's on this YouTube channel called Politics Joe. And she's actually talking about what actually happened. And she says Dan Wootton has been calling her and trying to apologize, yada, yada, yada. And she says she didn't answer his phone. She said she's been getting phone calls since 1 o'clock in the morning. And even an executive, a lady who used to work for GB News who quit, was like, that it's a very toxic environment to work there. And so, because of misogyny, it's on YouTube. It's called Politics Joe, and I guess she goes on his podcast and they talk about politics.
Wait, Anna, the girl who they were talking about?
Yes. She's on.
I gotta thank you for that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check it out. You guys check it out too.
On YouTube, it's called Politics Joe,
Mm-hmm.
and so she's on there today, and she's talking about how Dan's been trying to call, and she said, I don't know how he got my number, but somebody gave her his. She said, I wish they had not given him my phone number. She said, because she has had death threats about certain things, I guess, in politics. She said, so who's going to stop the person that's going to come to my house? Because she said people listen to this crazy stuff and they take this stuff seriously, and they find where you live, and they, that kind of thing. But she's on that YouTube channel if anybody's interested in going to hear it from her mouth. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's called Politics Joe. It's on YouTube. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I will check it out.
Check it out. Goodness. Okay. That's all I had to say.
Oh, no. Thank you so much for giving us this resource. I appreciate it. I had not heard about it before.
I had neither.
So they were trying to reach her then. Okay.
Yeah, they were trying to reach it. He was desperately trying to reach it. And she says, I don't have nothing for him, she said. She said, I don't have nothing. She said, I didn't call him back. She said, I don't want you. She said, I don't have nothing for him. Let him because the way he looked, did you see his face? The way that
he was laughing, the smirking. Yep.
He was eating up like it was candy or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that Fox guy, he used to be on some program on PBS called, I think it was Endeavor or one of those crime shows.
Oh, really?
And he's been on those crime shows and whatnot. But I've noticed that he's very nasty, that Fox guy.
Yep.
Very entitled, very nasty. So I guess birds of a feather, they flock together.
They do. Yes, they really do.
So go check it out. It's on YouTube. You can see her telling her side of the story. She said, she says, I'm not even part of this. And she said the fact that he reduced me to whether or not someone would sleep with me or not. Mm-hmm. She says she said it makes me itch all over. She said it's just go watch it yourself.
Okay, no, I will definitely do it. Thank you so much. Welcome. I really appreciate that.
And thank you for all the work that you do too. I really appreciate
you're welcome.
It.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Everybody. Okay, thank you. Bye. Bye.
Oh, my word. Thank you so much, Miss September 15th. That date, man. But, oh, man, there's so many moving parts to this Dan Wootton story. But I really do hope that, that they're really, that they're really trying to extricate themselves from Dan Wootton, because there is no reason for Dan Wootton to be on television. He's done too much. He has hurt too many people. He has destroyed so many people's lives, destroyed so many people's reputations. The guy is probably one of the most hated people in the UK, especially in the media, even among his own colleagues. And so there is no reason why this man is still in media. It's ridiculous. And so hopefully this is the beginning of the end. I would love to see the back of this man and never ever see him again. I hope Piers Morgan it's taken out the same way. These people, there's no reason for them. They're not bringing or adding anything to better anybody's life. It's just the constant vitriol and despicable behavior by these people. This needs to end. They have no value. What they do on television or wherever they are, it's of no value to anyone else. So I really do hope this is really the end. Anne Lewis says, Dan Wuwu's concerned about career and his apologies are hollow as he knows he is not employable. Exactly. And I'm glad, that she didn't pick up, because again, as you can see, according to Lawrence, his tweet about Dan Wootton, they were laughing about it. It was all a lie. It was all fake. as Dan was one of the most fake people you'd ever come across. And so it has all been a lie. So anyways, guys, you want to have positive podcasts, but again, you come across stuff like this and you have to talk about it. So, but thank you guys so much for coming on. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, all of you, whether you're in the chat or just listening. I appreciate you so much. Tomorrow we'll talk about something more positive, unless something more, something dramatic like this, come up again. But one more thing to talk about crazy. What is this, you guys? Like, I've been trying to just sort of ignore this whole nonsense with Kate and her single white femaling Meghan. And I've been trying to literally not even deal, just like, oh, whatever, But today, that the movie Single White Female, the part that always creeps me out was when the girl who, the victim of this whole thing, she's sitting, and then the crazy one is coming down the stairs and she has her same haircut. I will never, of all the things I remember in that movie, and I don't remember a whole lot, that is the scene that always plays on my mind, the haircut, when she comes with the same haircut. And so when RS Log posted this today, I was like, oh my gosh. This creeped me out so badly. And I was like, because again, that is the scene with the haircut, is the one that I always remember from Single White Female. And I was just like, oh my gosh. She has Meghan exact hairdo. And, with all the fashion stuff that she just completely copies from Meghan, this is the one that made me go, oh my gosh, this is really Single White Female. And so it's just like, I'm like, girl. And I don't know, like, what is the motivation? I don't understand what her motivation is for just copying everything that Meghan does. Like, I don't understand. Like, there are people there to let her know, like, girl, this is creepy. This is just really creepy to do something like that. And I can only say, like, look, I am happy Meghan isn't there, because to have to deal with, and I'm sure Meghan has seen Single White Female. So to have to deal, and that picture on the right was just like, ugh. And I guess maybe I was in my like freaking out phase when I saw that photo. But and I was just like, I can't imagine living around someone who is doing that and being in close, contact with someone who is just copying, including your exact hair. And it's just like, it's so creepy. And I'm like, is there nobody at the palace to tell her, girl, you don't do stuff like this? Is freaky. Is she doing it to intimidate Meghan? Is she doing it because she just doesn't have anything of her own and any sense of style or any of that on her own, so she can, like, I don't understand why you would do this. And so for RS Locke to post this, I'm like, yeah, she probably felt the same as I do when I saw that, because again, that's the only thing in that movie that I really, really remember, because that scene always creeps me out. And so it's just like, Kate, girl, you need to stop this. You really need to stop this. This is obsessive madness. I'm like, ooh, yeeks. I was like, please. Okay, so we got one more call, and I got a couple more minutes before I have to leave, or end. But let's get away from Kate and her madness there. Roseanne, how are you? Hello, Roseanne. Hello, Roseanne. Roseanne, are you there? Oh, Roseanne has left us. Okay, well, anyways, sorry to end it on that, but thank you so much to our awesome moderators who are on here. Church Nelly, Karen M, Cookies and Cream, Black Queen, Lydia. Wait, did I see Lydia? I'm not sure if Lydia joined us. I know she was on earlier today. Oh, wait, Lottie, thank you so much for your super sticker. I missed this. Oh my goodness, I hope others didn't, and I completely missed it. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much, Lottie. Oh, Lorna, thank you so much for your donation. And guys, thank you so much for your kindness. And I'm so happy I'm scrolling up, because I'm realizing I missed all of this. Nubian Queen, Thank you, Nubian Queen. I appreciate so much for your donation. Says thank you guys for your community support for Favorite the Sussexes. Thank you guys so much. And so let me scroll up a little bit more to make sure I didn't miss anything else. Thank you all so very much. So okay, I think that may be it, but thank you all. I appreciate it. Thank you so much again to our awesome moderators for keeping this space safe and fun. And I know today it was, it's not fun when you talk about that stuff, but I appreciate all of you guys so much for coming back and just chatting and just sharing your thoughts, whether it's in the chat or coming on. I appreciate all of you. So thank you guys, and thank you for all of you that support, whether it's in the chat or the 2 Cents Crew. I appreciate so much again your support. Thank you all so much. And we will do this again tomorrow. Lord willing, he keeps us all here and alive. I will see you guys all tomorrow. Again, if you have not subscribed to our channel, go ahead, subscribe and click the notification bell so you know when we drop a video. And like and share the video and join the channel if you're able. So anyway, I love you guys and I will talk to you mañana. Bye.